Hello, guys. We are back. Last time with you, we created just create, read, update, delete for tags, and this is now visible in our admin area. Our whole purpose was to create articles, and with each article, we wanted to have the ability to select a certain tag. I'm going to use an older article that I created in Medium last year. And I'm not going to create a new one because what you see here is still valid, but I will guide you and go through all the steps with you. So I want to make sure that all the students or anyone who is following us could create what we need. So the article will have title, it will have some content, long text, and we want to have tags where we want to have multiple tags, not only one, but one article could have more than one tags, let's say 2, 3, 5, and etc. In order for us to do that, we already have the tags create, read, update, delete. We need to actually create a connection table. What's the idea of the connection table? The idea of the connection table is to have one table which will be actually storing all the information that we might need. And this connection table is this the create tags? No, this is the create tags, create article tags table. Okay, this is good. And this is the connection table. So the connection table will have reference to articles table, and also it will have reference to tags table. If you search for connection table and go to images, and then there should be a good example for it, but let's see. So we have activity, we have users, and then we could have a user activity table that will consist the ID of the user and the ID of the activity. So it's the same for article tags. We have created the migration. The next thing that we are going to do is actually add the fields that we'll be needing in that table. So the fields will be reference to the article and reference to the tag. Currently, the article is not yet created, but the tag is, so we will leave it like that. And if we say, hey, artisan, please migrate. So I've just opened MySQL in a different window, like here. So say MySQL, then show databases. So we could see all the databases, use Laravel, and then show tables. And then you could see I don't have a table which is like article tags, so it's missing. And if I say, hey, PHP artisan migrate, I get the information that this is green. And if I execute the same thing twice, and if I zoom in, you see that we don't have article tags. Now we have article tags. So the table was created for us. For you who are using Windows, you could use XAMPP, and inside XAMPP, you could use phpMyAdmin. I'm not using this because I am running everything on GitHub Codespaces. So we already created the connection table. And the next thing that we need is to actually create the articles table. So we are executing, hey, artisan, please make migration and create the articles table. When I run and create the articles table, the next thing I expect to receive is if I run show tables, it's still not updated, but it generated a new file for me. And that new file should be create articles table. And that new file should be available inside the migrations folder. You see the file is already here. And if I open it, let me refresh the folder. It takes some time. It might be due to the internet connection because I'm sure that I see the success message, but it's not opening the other file. So closing this one, and then refreshing the files, and now I see it. Okay, we have the articles table. Inside the articles table, we said we are going to use title, long text for the content. Why long text? Because it's going to be the actual body of the article and the regular timestamps. For the university students, when you're creating your coursework, please make sure that you think what kind of fields you are going to use. So we have already prepared the stuff for the articles table, and we could say, hey, PHP artisan migrate. And it said, I run the migration successfully. And this means if I select and show the tables, now we have one extra table in the field, which is called articles. And if I select everything from migrations, I should be able to see that several migrations actually run. So the article tags and the articles. Now we have created two new tables. One of them is the connection one. The other one is the actual one that will be storing information about the articles. And as you could imagine, we need to create a create, read, update, delete functionality for the articles. And in order for us to do that, we say, hey, PHP artisan backpack CRUD article. And if you run this, it will ask us how we would like to validate the data. And it will create a model, controller, request for the validation. It will update the rules with point, and also it will update the views. If we are not using backpack, this is something that you should be doing manually. You saw that it just showed now with us articles. And if I click on articles and click on add article, now I have an option to add title and content. It's not really useful. It's still we are missing the tags. This is not rich text. So we are not where we want it to be. But in order for us to go there, first we need to make sure that there is a connection between the tables. So if you search about Laravel one-to-many, for example, you should be able to check about relationships and read through all of these because during your database course, you have covered what are the ways how to cover one-to-one, one-to-many, etc. And if I search to one-to-many, you see what is the option. So in our case, we have one article, and we could have multiple tags. So what we will be doing now is I will open the article model. I'm going and opening the models. Models are inside app, then model folder, article. And in there, if you open the generated model, there is one place reserved for relations. And in there, I say add tags. And this means anytime when I try to run this, make sure that it will get the corresponding data from the correct place. So this will automatically make sure that if you say, hey, article, open the, let me include use, then models, then tag model. Now it should know what's the name of the file. And if you open this, it's app model stack, and it should be sufficient. Okay, so we included the tag, and we prepare the connection. The next thing that we are going to do is actually alter the controller, because if I still click refresh here, there is no change. But if I alter the controller that's responsible for this, by the way, the controller sits in HTTP controllers, admin, article CRUD controller, and you see it's using different traits coming from backpack, but we'll play around with it. What we'll do is actually include a function in it, and this function will be added before the setup and after the use, and it has get fields data. In here we have title naming of the field and the type, and also we have summer node, we have tags, and also how this is read. And if someone is wondering, okay, how do I know what to add there? If you search for backpack fields, here you see a documentation about all the possible fields, and summer node, for example, is what you see. What you see is what you get editor that allows you to actually alter, and it's free. This one is free. They have paid components as well, but for the sake of the tutorials, we are only using the free ones. The pro ones are paid. You could see the pro ones. So we have already added them, and the next thing that we'll do is actually alter the setup method. So I'll just alter the setup method based on the article. So I'm searching this setup method here, and I'm saying, hey, add the fields, and which fields? You use the fields from get fields data. Now when I click refresh, what happened is I have my title of the article, I have rich text editor available, and I could even select more than one. And if I click preview, I should be able to get and see all the details. How could I set up this? Well, at the end of the controller, I could add a new method. So I'm adding this at the end of the controller based on the article and clicking refresh. And now if I click preview, I see the actual tags. And now you may wonder, how does it work? Well, how does it work? Currently, we have a backpack controller. In there, we have get fields data. Get fields data has a flag, which is called show. And if show is true, then the content becomes text. And then the other thing is the tags become just a select. However, if show is false, by default is false, the text becomes summer node and the tags are actually select multiple. That's why on preview mode, it's only text, and these are just lists and text. And on edit mode, this is a component that allows you to select multiple items. Let me just add another one, so it's visible. And now if you go to articles and click new article, now I could select 1, 2, 3, or just one. So it's actually a multiple select. And based on whether I am on preview, this is preview, list, this is preview, or show, this is edit, and then we have the delete option. And all of these are actually listed as list operation, create operation, update operation, delete, and show. So list is what you see here, the actual list of items. Then create is what you see when you click on add article. Then update is what you see when you click on edit, this one. And then we have delete for the deletion, and show. Show is actually the view or preview method here. You could see it by the URL as well. And for each of these, we have set up list operation, and it says read the fields from database. And you might say, okay, but I don't want to read the fields from the database. I want to read the fields from, let's say, my setup. If I want to read the fields from my setup, if you adjust it, then it won't read the fields from the database. It should actually read it from my setup. And by reading it from my setup, it means that it will start reading each one of them, and we could list them, that's for sure. We could use this, for example, same setup as the list. So we have the list, and we are saying, hey, don't read it from the DB, read it from my list and try to show it. But if you try to read it from my list and show it, then there have to be some other adjustments. So I'll just return to read from the database. It's easier. But if you go to the show operation, we are saying, don't read it from the database, just use my fields. So this is how easily you could actually manipulate this. You could try on your own to make sure that this is simply text, and also try to show the tags. How could you show the tags? You could investigate and see that you could define columns by this, or also open the list operation and see how does it works. How does it work? So where does it read the data and how to alter it? But for the sake of the exercise, we have already created a create, read, update, delete with multiple select.